the recording, and yeah, we can start. Can you hear me by any chance? In any case, just let me know if you can hear me, since I'm going to start sharing screen and we're at market open. But let's just have a look at what we're dealing with fundamentally, and this is how I normally start my show. So we dropped by 1 point compared to yesterday, which is not good. We went from 9 to 8, which is terrifying. But the last time, again, I do want to emphasize that the last time we were at such a low point was all the way back in October. And in terms of bear market, the last time we dipped this low was about, where was that? 2019. We also had some bouts in 2021, as well as 2022. So it's not like this is a novel thing that's happened, but it is interesting to note that we are sitting at 8. Looking at our exchange map, we can see that the shorts clearly outweigh the longs, and currently we are tearing apart these long liquidations stacked all the way up to like 64. So the moment we get to this point, we're going to liquidate quite a lot of people. Hey, Malv, welcome. Yes, so you can see that we do have some late leverage coming in from the short side. So these are people who are taking advantage or possibly scalping. Let's look at the 7-day. It should say the same story. And it's been a while where our long, cumulative long liquidations have been this low in terms or relative to our short liquidations, which tells me that we are now flushing a little bit more of the late longs in the market. As you guys know, that we do have a long at about 62.8, and that's fairly down over here. So I mean, there's a good chance we get to that point, but I think we go as possibly as low as 64. Now, what I'm worried about is if we lose the 65,000 level, we're likely going to go down to 63 straight away. If we're able to reclaim some of these liquidations over here, maybe even 67, we'll probably get a squeeze all the way up to this next liquidation point at 70,000. Going to the RSI heat map yesterday and the 12-hour, we were smack dab in the center of neutral, but now we've returned to weak, with the top 3 falling down to weak, and some coins such as Arbitrum and Aptos falling into oversold. 24-hour, very similar. 1 week should still, yep, it's in weak, and you can see that we got a lot of moves to the downside from the highest position of the week. Looking at our liquidity heat map, let's refresh this. So we've definitely hit that hotspot from earlier, and we do have some minor hotspots forming still. However, we can see that the major hotspots are up at about 67,000, 67,007, and 68,000. Moving to the 3-day, you have a major hotspot at 68.7. 1 week will show us that we have a major, well, not actually any major hotspot. The 2 week shows a major hotspot at 72 with a lot more cumulative leverage. That's about a 1 to 2. Is that 1 to 2? It's like cumulative longs at 1.15. Yeah, it's close to 1 to 2. So the bias is to the upside, but we're trying to find support here on our charts, or on Bitcoin at the very least. And that about covers the fundamental analysis. So we can see that there is an incentive to go to the upside, but currently Bitcoin's really just showing a lot of weakness. Now let's go over to the charts, because that's where the fun really starts. And this is sort of what we were talking about yesterday, well, in yesterday's stream, is that we did fall out. So this is the 4-hour chart. So we did fall out of this ascending triangle based on the 12-hour, which isn't entirely good, right? We fell out here, we retested, we got rejected, and we're headed down. Now, the thing about this move right here is that it's formed a perfect parallel channel, which does tell me, we do have the chance of going down easily to the support level at 63.7. However, having said that, and the reason I drew a triangle was when we did get this move over here back to retest, and also this move back, I mean, we did get rejected, but notice how now we're sort of setting something up that can be considered bullish. Descending channels traditionally are bullish in nature. You're less likely to fall out of a descending channel, as that would mean that you would really need some bear side that you really need a lot of short volume orders in order to really get out of a descending channel. So that's very unlikely. It has happened before, but it's still very unlikely. We need to watch this carefully. So as you guys know, the first about hour or 30 minutes to an hour of market open is the most volatile, and it's also the quickest way to fake people out into doing certain things, and it's also the quickest way to liquidate scalpers, because they like trading right at market open, and the 5 minutes on the left is showing you exactly the reason. Right, this is a very convincing dump right here, but you got this moment and suddenly you've engulfed the whole thing, and you're back to yesterday's liquidity hotspot at 66,192. Now let's see how this 5 minute closes. If it stays above this wick, then we've effectively changed the trend of the structure that we were just trading in earlier. So there's 7 seconds. Let's see if we can stay above this wick. In any case, we've basically engulfed this last candle. We stayed above the wick. We're probably going to get a retest part of this candle, possibly even break down and engulf this, but we'll have to see, right? Looking at Bitcoin right now, it's not that great, right? We fell out of the ascending triangle, which ideally would have been a bullish structure, but you failed to create a higher low at this point and bounce off to retest that resistance at 71,400. Hey, Mr. Man, welcome to the show. And you're basically now in a descending channel trying to claim some sort of support at around 65 and 66.19. Now, again, if we're able to reclaim 67k, which is over here, right, that would set up a double bottom and a nice squeeze back to resistance, right? You can basically forget about this ascending triangle, right? Forget about this would still act as resistance now that we flipped it into a resistance, because it used to be support. But if you're able to reclaim 67k, then you break out of the descending channel, and now you're able to retest the support that we flipped into resistance. However, if you break down 65k, the likelihood of you going to 64,000 gets exponentially higher, because you want to fill out the descending channel, and you're now going to test some supports that we had, right? So I'm a little skeptical about some of our moves right here, but I do want to wait maybe 15 minutes after market open just to gauge properly. So that's 4 minutes from now, just to gauge properly what we're dealing with. So I'm going to actually I want to hide this or delete it just for a second to illustrate the fact that this would form a double bottom if you're able to reclaim 67k, because then this would go something like that. All right, reclaim 67k, then you could get a squeeze back to 70k, right, because of this move right here. And let me draw the line again for us. So that was about here. Yep. And let's change that to white so it's more visibly seen. Now, if we're looking at your point of interest here on the 4 hour, it's all the way up to 89,000. We're trading at a very relatively high volume node, so it wouldn't surprise me if we get to this resistance that we skip the resistance and go straight up to 78k, and then that would act as major resistance for us and we get rejected. Because if you've studied volume profile theory, or just like the volume profile theory itself, you're looking at a potential move to the next volume node when there's a huge gap like this. Now, can we be optimistic? It's hard to be optimistic because of the fact that you technically did fall off the ascending triangle, but every move to the downside has met some sort of move to the upside right now. It's not a clear downtrend such as this where you got down, 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 down. Here you've been meeting some sort of support, some sort of candle and price action that's really fighting back. And that tells me that, this right here is a critical juncture. And people throw that lightly, but I really do mean that. You reclaim 67K, you build a double bottom, you squeeze back to 70, you test this prime block, you test this resistance, and then we can get some upside. However, if we break down at this point below the descending channel, which is already one of the most bullish structures you have in price action, regardless of the asset class you're trading in, then of course you're going to break down to 64, you're going to then break down into your wicks at 62, and then you're going to be testing 60,000 next. And that could really be a continuation of this move right here. So right now, we just gotta wait and see. There's 1 minute or at least 25 seconds before the next close, and we'll just see how the candles are treating us once we've closed in 10 seconds. So let me just see who's in chat. Hey Sam, hey Henrys. Still can't get out. It's such a cool profile picture. But yeah, welcome guys. I do appreciate you guys dropping by. Like I don't know if you guys were here, but next week the schedule might change a little bit. So this might be the last week where I have a Thursday show at 9:30. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so 15-minute close. I mean, we engulfed. We're basically back where we started an hour ago, which is interesting, right? Now your point of control or your money flow POC has rejected us, but let's see if we can get above it. Now, if this closes even like this with a red candle, then we've basically changed the trend because, especially if it engulfs like that, you've basically changed the trend, which would mean that we get further downside. Oopsie. But let's look at it from a 15-minute perspective. Yeah, so this is a reversal candle right here, right? So studying just like classical candlestick theory, this is a reversal candle right here, and you even got your body starting on the midline of this descending channel, which is very interesting, right? You are facing this support that we formed yesterday, right? You got rejected here, now you're back at support. If you're not able to hold this support, if this is still resistance, then we're going down, and we should frame a short scalp for today. Even though, like on the 4-hour, we're very much near the lower extremity. But if not, we can probably frame a long, based on the 5 minutes, if we're able to close this candle bullish. I guess just to get like a sentiment check, are you guys generally long or short right now? And if you're comfortable, you can also probably tell me why you're long or short. 12. $66, $290. Yikes. I see. Short at 67. Pretty good call. Yeah. Yeah, this high right here. That was a good call. What was your stop loss? $67.4. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, actually. So 67,089. So let's say there's about. Yep. Were you able? Where's your take profit? Around here. Oh, solid. Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice 1 to 4 RR. Congratulations. That was really good. Congratulations. I saw Sam also typing earlier. Don't be shy. Hey Eddie, welcome. Lovely to have you here. Let's go back to the 5 minutes. Ooh, 5 minutes close indecision for this candle. So, kind of what I want to see by the time this stream ends is whether or not we're able to reclaim 67 or if we dump back down and lose 65. And again, the logic there is if you look at sort of the ETF flows right now, you'll find that, well, specifically the BlackRock ETF, right? BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, the main levels there were about 36 or 40. So if you translate that onto your charts, you're looking at anywhere from 62 to 63k. So that means if you lose this line of support right now, you go back down to 62, 63k. There's a lot of orders there, right? So you want to go back to that point to basically capitalize or make or basically test that region where there are a lot of orders. But if you are able to reclaim 67,000, you've basically squeezed a lot of the shorts, and you then form a double bottom on your higher time frames. And when you form that double bottom on higher time frames, that gives you basically enough room to squeeze the shorts out, and you head back to the upside, possibly even back into this resistance at 71k. So this fall out of structure could literally just be a fake out. And what's scary is that, or if you guys don't know how sort of patterns are formed, right? They're born of market inefficiencies because the algorithm is getting thousands and thousands of orders a second, and it's trying to create fair value, so it moves in an algorithmic way so that you suddenly just don't get a huge ass dump, a huge ass pump, which is why we say that when you have wicks like this is just a sign of manipulation, right? Because it was able to bypass the algorithm itself. But if you're able to create a double bottom right here, the algorithm is more likely to just follow through with the trend that you've created. And so if you get above 67k, you form that double bottom, or you start the formation of that, you can then push back to previous resistance. Hey Dago, welcome. Yeah, long time forgot I placed an order. Oh, cool. Sucks that your time is moving. Just found the stream while I'm at work, so this time. Oh. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, we'll figure it out. I'm in talks with OC about it, so we'll formalize it when the time is right. But I'll keep that in mind because at least for me it's perfect since my classes are in the morning, and I drive back going here to my residence. Hey Daga. Okay, Long Tao. Oh, nice. Okay, so this is on the where were we on Tao? I think we were on this chart Tao. Ooh, when did I draw this? Kind of fell out. When did I draw this? Did I even draw it? Was this here yesterday? I don't even remember if I drew this or not. Oh, but you are hitting that FVG. Oh no, I did draw this. Okay, I do remember now. I remember this. Yeah. Oh no, I was telling them Daga that I might move my classes. Yeah. Yeah, this is the. Okay, let me just raise the AC a bit. But we did get to this FVG, so decent entry here on the 4 hour. Um, but yeah, I was just saying that I might move my classes since OC and I are sort of in the talks because we want to like space it out a little bit. But yeah, so let's see how it looks like at what is that 10:15 a.m. EST. Oh no, 9 no. Yeah, 10:15 a.m. EST. I think that's when we'll know. The closer we are to 67, still hate that number. The closer we are to 67, then the better for us because that would confirm a squeeze to the upside. But yeah. $66.6. Let's see. Hmm. I guess for targets, I do want to close the daily above 67 at the very least, right? I mean, if you're able to engulf the last candle, or at least even close like this with a green candle that's not a full, or at least with a decent body, then you're able to basically change the trend at this point, right? Because that would mean that you get something like this, right? Even if it leads back to a dump, at the very least you're able to change the trend for a short moment. But if you're not able to do that, then this is just a falling out of that ascending triangle and a move back to the downside. We are seeing uh some money outflows again, right? From this point, your inflows significantly, your outflows significantly decreased, but now you're getting that same level again from much earlier on. Oh, what's this GIF? Oh, dead cat bounce. Oh, you know the bounce didn't show until I clicked the. I don't know why it didn't show, but yeah, it would basically just be a dead cat bounce. Although you'd think that this was the, but this here was the. Yeah, this is the this is like a Schrodinger's cat bounce, and then you have a dead cat bounce. Let's see if we can turn this into a Wonder Woman. No Wonder Woman. Oh man. Right. Schrodinger's cat because such a strong candle. Then this looks like a dead cat bounce. But if you can get a another recovery like this, then you've got a W right there. And then you've now got a face resistance. Now, my arguments for why we might at least get back to 80, there you have a lot of FVGs, and there's not a lot of liquidity to the downside. I mean, we say that, but this whole move had almost zero liquidity to the downside, right? But the TA does say that you want lower, and if Solana isn't a good example of how low can be, which is at negative 75, then I don't know what is. But point is, this is more of an important time than say over here, because we were able to make money while in this sort of bear flag and range. But over here is the determination of whether or not we bounce off this area and we go up, or we break below our wick and then we head lower. Now, whether or not we go up or down, we just have to adapt, and that's just how the ball rolls, right? You just gotta adapt. So 5 minutes, that was the hourly and 15-minute close and the 30-minute close. So let's actually have a look at what those look like. Probably shouldn't pick the 30 minutes. Let's go to the 15 here. So I mean, the hourly closed fairly bullish, right? It got to wick above the last candle. I mean, it didn't close above it, but I mean, strong body. 15 minutes, the same thing. It's now transitioned. So 15 minutes again. At least on this 15-minute close, we want a strong close near the top of the wick. But if we don't get that strong close, then we're not likely going to see a strong move. Now, the point of interest here on the 1 hour is at 67. Again, I really hate. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm really sorry, guys. For context, and I keep telling my high school friends, because my high school friends, we sort of all conglomerated into the same university, because our high school was like a brother school to the top university where I'm from, and we're all turning 22, and somehow they've been enamored and indoctrinated into the 6-7 Gen Alpha meme, and it gets annoying because any mention of 6-7, they just go 6-7, and then oh my goodness, I hear it on a daily basis, so I cringe every time I hear 6-7. In any case, point of interest is here at 67175, and that's also our prime block with neutral volume. We do want to basically get to this point and test it. We also have our 618 at 67353, and if we can successfully get above this point, then right, if we can successfully get above this point, then we can probably try to retest 68. But if we can't, and we bounce or we get rejected off this upper trend line, that doesn't bode well. That tells us that we're more likely to actually, damn, this circle is, why is that, is this a different circle? No, it's not. It's the same circle. Why is it not? What? Okay, interesting. Oh no, it's probably just perception. Yeah, anyways, but if we can't get above it, or if we can't even retest that, we get rejected by this trend line of our parallel channel. I expect downside. I expect us to go to 65 and then test that. And if we lose 65, then we're going to 63 at the very least. Yeah. Oh, hey, Addy. Welcome back, Mr. Man. Uh, Again, thank you guys for stopping by and joining me on this stream. Oh, you're from. Oh, that's so cool. You're from the UK. That's cool. Yeah. I don't. For context, actually, I don't know. The last time we had an Englishman on the show, or at least join us on stream, I actually don't remember. But then again, I also don't know where most of you guys are from. So it's just really cool. Yeah, it's really cool to have you guys on. Yeah. I think, well, at least for me, I think it's if you like click the tag, like where you're from, in the Chart Prime server. But yeah. All right, let me just grab some coffee. Mm. Oh, that's so cool. Damn. That's the one cool thing I like about trading is that it really there is no boundary to trading. But yeah, I've never been to Rosarito. Uh, what's this? That's wait, Rosarito is it's near the border between is it California and Mexico? Nice. Yeah. Last time I was in California was 20 what was it 2024? So no, maybe 2023. But I didn't really spend too much time because I just visited my uncle. Well, my late uncle because yeah, for a reason. Ooh, nice. Wait, okay. Don't tell me the country. I know this. Oh, oh no. Geography wasn't my strong suit, but wait. Mm, don't tell me. It's one of the Scandinavian countries. Shoot. It's either oh shoot. Oh my goodness. Norway. It's either Denmark or Norway. Am I right? Norway. Okay. Whew. Okay. Last time we studied geography, it's like oh, I don't know, grade school, even high school. No, maybe grade school, but m- mostly Asian countries, since well, I'm in Asia, so it makes more sense. But it's always fun to study world history and how countries came to be. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so I'm guessing it's morning for most of you, but I guess for Addy, it's probably for Addy and Daga, it's closer to the afternoon. 15. Yeah, because over here it's 2308. Yeah. Oof. This 15 minutes is not looking good. But let's look at it from the 5 minutes. I mean, it's trying to. Ooh, rejection from the 618. And again, this is why I like the point of interest. So if you're able to reach a point of interest on lower time frames, it does tell you that you're likely to also eventually visit your point of interest on higher time frames. And just so we're clear about where that point of interest sort of lies, right? It was here 66,756 at, or it was formed 2240, so that's 29 minutes ago, right? And let's mark that with this white line just slightly above so we can see how it's changed. And then let's exit. And you can see that, I mean, it got a little lower, but generally you visited that area or the close to the you English. But you generally visited that point. And so that tells me that if you have a point of interest, right, you're very likely going to revisit it again. So if you visit your point of interest on higher time frames or look at them on higher time frames, here on the 4 hour, it tells you 68. If you go up to your 12 hour, I think it says like 80 something. Yeah, 88. And you have this huge gap, right? So for me, the likelihood of going back to your point of interest is fairly high. Now, there are times where, right, if we're being honest with ourselves, the point of interest on the 1 week for Bitcoin says 20, right? The likelihood of possibly reaching 20, it's there, right? I'm not saying it's not there. There's a possibility. Anything's possible. You head back down to 20K on Bitcoin, right? And if our weekly close looks like this, then we're going down lower. But if we're going to if we're going to get some sort of move and we're able to get back to this FVG or even close near our previous candle, then we are going to see some upside. But right now, we just need to sit and wait. So, 5 minutes close. It sucked. The close sucked. So now we're going to see if this point of control or the money flow POC here on the 5 minutes is able to hold Bitcoin at this price and see if we can head back up. But I don't think so. If this is the case, then you've got a reversal, right? It's a reversal of trend. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really like. I wouldn't like a close like this. I know there's only 3 minutes, so we need a miracle to close just even above the body here. I mean, you got rejected from resistance, right? It's not a good look. And technically, you did reach this point, right? Close enough, and that you could consider that as the next high volume node from this point to that. So you might even go back down to 65. Now, does the CPO plus and MVP ribbon support that? I mean, they're contradicting it, right? But we'll just have to see how it goes. Um, that said, 2 minutes 31 seconds. That's not really giving me a lot of confidence that we're going to close above the last candle. Let's go back to the 5 minutes. Yeah. Oh, hey Mila, welcome to the show. Oh yeah, if any of you guys have any coins you want me to look at, just let me know. Okay, just had to raise the temp a little bit. Yeah, no. Granted, if you do get a close back to this point, that's a pretty bullish case for the 5 minutes. But if it closes like this, then you got a reversal, which means you're gonna get more downside. Yeah, no, we're gonna get downside. What does the 1 minute look like? It probably looks atrocious. No, actually. Oof. It's oversold. Ooh. So 15 minutes closed terribly. Right, that's engulfing. That's an engulfing candle on the last one. So not great. 30 minutes doesn't look great as well. Oops. 30 minutes doesn't look great as well, but you know, you could close with a little bit more push to the upside here on the 30 minutes. It does show your CPO plus curving and your MVP ribbon showing some enthusiasm to shift back into blue. But unless we close above even the body of the last candle, we should consider this a reversal of trend. Uh, yeah, okay. I picked the right frame. Okay, let's go 15 minutes. Yeah. So this candle has a lot of work cut out for itself. Okay. Right. I almost forgot that we do have to frame a signal here. So let's see what we've got. Let's go back to the 5 minutes. If we close above the POC, I think we can do something like this. Like enter market, right? If we close above it and then stop loss below previous day low, a little lower, and then your take profit would probably put you at this level. But if that's the case, we may want to let's go premium on the 5 minutes like this, and then if we close above here, I'm thinking you can do something like this. think that's a better RR. Okay, maybe lower. But if we don't close above this, then this idea is kind of moot, right? You should just ignore the idea. You could extend this to that 618 to get your 1 to 2. So that is possible. But I need a convincing close here. Otherwise, I don't think we should move. Yeah, the 1 minute doesn't look great. But then yeah. 3 candles, big red candle engulfed the last candle. Yeah. Don't trade the 1 minute. We're just looking to see if there is any potential for it to continue up. Yep, no. Let's not do this idea then. Uh, I will say, there's a lot of selling pressure here, right? It's always up to the next candle to see if you can get above the wick left behind and close above said wick. All right, we're back to the midline of that descending channel. Okay. Okay, maybe we can enter long at this point. So, uh, probably enter like over here because it's gonna retest. Or you can just enter market. Then stop loss below previous day low. Then let's go here. We might get wrecked, but just do a small position. I'm going to send this in the chat or in my channel. So just enter market, very small position, because we're likely to get wrecked. I say that we're likely to get wrecked, but then the thing is, you left a very long wick right here. You got it above the last candle. 15 minutes. Some of the lower time frames are showing some signs of recovery, right? In terms of the CPO plus, so there's a good chance that this could play out, and I do think we're more likely to break to the upside. And at this point, if you go down here, you are gonna break to the downside again, right? Maybe you can put it below this wick right here, right? I think that'll be fine. So yeah, all of our scalps have just been longs, but that's kind of how I'm wired at the moment. Although, just like 2 months ago, I was just shorting for each scalp. So yeah, the 5 minutes is acting. I hope you guys haven't entered the thing yet. Hold on, actually, maybe I should enter myself. No, enter after I post. 5720.3, and then yeah. Okay, I'm going to enter market. So that places me over here. Okay. So I'm in. Let's see if we can survive this. Or maybe I should have placed it at the trend line. So we're in profits. Let's see if we can engulf this candle. It would be good if we can. Oh shoot, how did the 30 minutes close? I mean, it didn't engulf the last one, so it just ranged. Oh my goodness. Diamond trend shift though over here. So visually, I mean, you still have a trend somehow, but let's see. But yeah, let's see if this scalp is gonna pay. Alright, testing POC. Let's see if we can get above it. Ooh, CPO plus on the 5-minute transition green. And you bounced off your MVP ribbon. Oh, your fluid zero line, so. Ooh, okay. I don't want to toot my own horn, but part of. I feel like this could pan out pretty well. Yeah, I think this is gonna pan out pretty well. Imagine me just saying it's gonna pan out pretty well, and then it just completely nukes to the downside. Oh, that would be so funny. Ooh, that is delicious. Okay, let's test the reactors now. So we did get rejected just like a few minutes ago. So let's see if we can stay above the reactors, get above this prime block, and then see if we can get to our premium here on the 5 minutes. Or is this also a prime block? Yeah, it's also a prime block. But again, if we can reclaim 67,000, we're going to have a squeeze to 70. Or we're likely going to have a squeeze to 70. That's not good. Okay, let's look at the 15 minutes, how it closed. So it engulfed or closed above the wick. Oh, oopsie. Closed above the wick that left here. And we are getting that move back to the upside. Now, I am interested to see if we can actually reclaim 67. I don't know if it's going to happen on stream, but if we reclaim 67, retest 67, and stay above 67, we'll squeeze to 70. If we don't and we lose or we go back to this level, so I'm going to set an alert at 65.6. If we lose this, we're likely going to go down to discount here in the hourly. Then we're probably going to fall back down to as low as 63, possibly even 62. Let's see how this pans out. But I am optimistic of getting or closing above 67. But again, we have to close above it on the daily, right? It doesn't matter if we close above it now, but if we don't close above 67 or close to 67 on the daily, we're more likely getting some downside or some continued downside. I guess since there's only 15 minutes left, let's just do some macro analysis while we're letting our scalp run. So this again is our macro chart, 1 week based on Binance Futures, which has the most amount of data. And let's sort of recap what we're looking at. So last week we actually traded at this price sometime last week, right? And I mean, the great thing about this last candle is the fact that we didn't close anywhere near the 70 or even back to our entry at about 62,800 ish, right? Now, if this weekly closes the way it does, then we should expect some continued downside. But you can see here that if you close at 67 on the daily, that leaves you a couple of days. And if you're able to close back at about 68,783, then you've essentially created 3 candles where there was buying pressure, and you've left 3 wicks on the weekly of upside, which means that you're very likely going to continue or change the trend for February. If we zoom out into the month, let's go 1 month, you'll see that we've had red candles 5 months in a row, and you typically don't have that. I mean, yes, you've got green candles 6 months in a row followed by red and ranging, right? But you normally don't get this many candles. Now, you can see here 3 candles followed by 2 green, and then another 3 followed by 1. So it is very rare for us to get, actually, at least from this chart, if we're not including spot, this is the first time we've got 5 consecutive red candles, right? And so that does tell me that we're reaching a point at which we're very likely going to get at least a green candle for some sort of recovery, because this monthly chart doesn't seem like it's bottomed all the way, and it could still continue down, right? But we do want to see some relief, as that would be healthy given that we've had 5 consecutive red candles. And I mean, even at all-time highs, right, at this point, all-time highs, you've had red candles for a healthy pullback in the market. And this right here, at least from the monthly perspective, is fairly healthy. But you do want you want a green candle soon for it to really be healthy. Let's go back to the 1 week and then add back our Elliott wave. So the Elliott wave is from having TradingView, is it premium or plus, right? So we do have downside targets here. We hit the 836, 59.8. You do have one at 52, and you also have one here at the 1.618. Let's turn off the Elliott wave for now, because it's at 24, which is also smack dab at resistance. So if there is an event where we do fall back down here, I think you need to pull out a loan at this point and just ape in. But anyways, looking at the charts as they are, is it possible that we still get downside? Absolutely. It's still possible we go back down to 62 where we have our entry. right? Very much possible. But the likelihood of going up is also pretty decent, even to at least 77. Now, of course, I did say you could get to 88. I mean, that is where your 1 week chick magnet is, and that's where your liquidity hotspots are. But as a realistic case, I'd say 77 is more likely, or anywhere on this dynamic reactor here on the weekly is going to be realistic, right? Uh, let's look at how USDT dominance is looking like, because at least for Bitcoin, if you close like this, you get continued downside. If you close with a long wick going to the upside and a minimal body, then you've changed trend somehow, and you could potentially get a green candle starting next month. USDT dominance did increase, and we were pointing out that this was a double bottom. So out of the things that we were plugging, this seems to have been the most accurate one. Now, it is interesting that we are getting moves to the upside despite, or some sort of recovery to the upside despite USDT dominance increasing. I do think USDT dominance can still increase. I mean, your CPO plus, you bounce off the fluid zero line. So there's a good chance you still continue upside, which would mean that you get downside as they're correlated with each other. But, there is a chance that despite this going up, it doesn't necessarily mean that crypto is going to capitulate. But that is something we do have to keep in mind, because it's possible. Now, because this is a wedge and it broke out of it, it's possible that it also retests the wedge, and that gives us our chance to basically see some upside on other coins like Bitcoin. But that is copium. I wouldn't bet on that. So I'd bet on potentially downside despite USDT dominance going up, which seems counterintuitive, but there could be a case to be made. Let's actually look at the 4 hours, see if it's possible. I mean, this is the high volume node here, right? So you could get a test. You are slightly rejecting off this prime block, so it's possible, but the likelihood is yet to be seen. How do you retest? So essentially, when you retest, or charts like to retest because the algorithm likes to see if it can sustain a level. So when you break out of a structure, right, such as a descending wedge like this, you break out of it, right? But the initial breakout sometimes will be stopped by some sort of resistance, or sometimes it'll just abruptly stop and it'll go back to some point on this wedge, right? It could possibly go back to this level at the breakout, or it could follow wherever the wedge is on the candle that it appears will go, or at the next red candle, right? Sometimes coins don't fully retest, right? They just go straight up. That's not healthy. Typically, on a trend following strategy, you want to wait for a retest, which is also why I'm more contrarian in nature, because contrarian traders like me, we don't really wait for retests. But because of how the market's moving, having that contrarian strategy isn't necessarily the most efficient at the moment. So I'm just switching a little bit to trend following when it comes to analysis, which is what's been getting us these scalps, right? But yeah, you want to wait for some sort of retest, because you are getting rejected at this point. So USDT dominance likely will go down to retest, and then the retests will tell you one of two things. Either it'll bounce. So let me just get this more clearly. Actually, let me hide all the indicators, right? Okay, so we broke out of the descending wedge. We started rejecting off that prime block. Now, at this point, if a next red candle forms, it'll start a trend back down to that trend line that we drew for that descending wedge. Now, that tells us one of two things if it touches this point, or even the breakout level, right? So you want to be able to basically look at this entire region right here, right? Now, if it bounces off the breakout, right? So let me draw that. If it bounces off the breakout, then that's a successful retest, and you can basically expect USDT dominance to go up, and therefore markets like or assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum will most likely dump. Now, if it also goes down here, right, same thing. If it bounces off this level, you can expect the same thing. BTC will go down, Ethereum will go down, Solana will go down. Now, when it gets to this point or this point, whichever one it wants, right, and it breaks back into the descending wedge, that means the retest has failed, and more likely you're going to range in that wedge again because these trend lines have been acting as our support and resistance, right? So, what that tells us is if you fail the retest, you go down, that'll give crypto a lot more breathing room. But if you get the retest, that means crypto's gonna just dump. So I'd watch USDT dominance very carefully. Um, and right now, it does bode well for if you have any spot bags and you bought Bitcoin. Yeah. Thanks, Daga, for the photo. Yeah. You're very welcome, Eddie. So, yeah. And surprisingly enough, your most traded volume or the percentage. So, this isn't technically something you trade. You don't trade dominance. But the point of interest here, actually, the point of interest is down here. But because it's a high volume node, your point of interest is here, which is why I'm more inclined for a retest back into this area. And if you get a trend shift here, then you are going here for sure, or somewhere close, which means you'll have that opportunity to retest, which I am looking for. Now let's go back to Bitcoin. Okay, I put it on fresh. Okay, let's go here. This is the daily. What? Okay. Okay, so you got rejected off this point, but then you revisited. So yeah, we might just range here. Our first take profit, did it get hit? No, I believe I put it at 66.7. Still hate that. 66.705. So we didn't quite reach it yet. Actually, this is kind of a high take profit. I probably should have. Hold up. No. I want a fib. Maybe I should have placed it lower. Oh. Huh. Maybe I should have moved it. Yeah, you know what? I'll move it down to 66.5. 66.531. Alright, so that about does it. Still 2 minutes left on the show, so if there's anyone with any excuse me, with any last minute questions, just let me know. Oh, hey Quantum Swap, welcome. Oh, Tekro's also here. Welcome, buddy. It's been a while. I hope you've been doing well. I mean, I've been seeing you share your profits in chat, so congratulations. Hey, Quantum Swap. Ooh, my goodness. But yeah, to those who are new, so Tekro was also a newbie, I think, in October, and he's really improved. Like there was a point where he was just asking chat like what to do, but now he's doing his own positions and stuff. So just stick around, and again, if you have any questions, just ask, because that's how you learn, and the goal is to help you guys become independent of me, which is kind of counterintuitive, right? But you subscribe to this service, and we want what's best for you guys. We want you guys to be independent, really use the tools, be familiar, so you can make your own profits. And then the signals we give is really just ideas that you guys can modify and take notes of. Yeah, of course, it's my job. But yeah, it is officially what is it, 11 a.m. EST for most people. So we are getting lots of signals like oversold, green triangles and whatnot. So let's just leave this scalp to see where it goes. Could go back into drawdown. I mean, the last scalp we had just went back and forth between entry, but at the end it reached full take profit. So let's just see. I will be monitoring it. If it gets to 66.5, we can move our stop loss to break even. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes there aren't any second chances to get back in. But yeah, with that said, thank you guys so much for joining me. Um, I will see you guys again on. Well, we'll actually see when I'll see you guys again. If nothing else, expect for us to basically stay the same in terms of schedule. But yeah, I'll post the recording as soon as possible. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me this week. Once again, I am Langstrom. And don't forget to always use a stop loss. I'll see you guys. Enjoy your day.